What if I told you that one single mango tree in your backyard could give you 5 completely different types of mangoes, all at the same time? Not 5 trees, 1. And the crazy part? It's actually easier than most people think, and growers have been doing this for decades without ever talking about it online. If that sounds too good to be true, smash that subscribe button right now, because this channel is where we share the stuff that actually works in the garden, not just the pretty pictures. Here's proof that this is real. There are home growers across Florida, California, and Texas who are harvesting Alfonso, Kent, Keat, Tommy Atkins, and honey mangoes, all from the same trunk, the same roots, the same tree. Some of these trees look completely wild from the outside, with branches going in different directions, leaves that look slightly different from each other, and fruit hanging at different ripening times all season long. One tree, multiple varieties, and a harvest that stretches over months instead of just a few weeks. Now, here's the problem most mango growers run into, and honestly, this is probably happening to you right now. You plant one mango tree. You wait 2, 3, maybe 4 years. It finally starts fruiting, and then you realize you're getting one variety, one flavor, one ripening window. If it's a Tommy Atkins, great, but you're going to be swimming in fibrous Tommy Atkins mangoes for 3 weeks straight, and then nothing for the rest of the year. And if you want a different variety, someone tells you to just plant another tree, but you don't have room for another tree. Or the money, or the time, or you're just done waiting 3 more years to find out you made the wrong choice again. You're stuck. And the worst part is, nobody tells you there's a better way. Here's what's actually going on, and it's simple once you understand it. A mango tree is basically a living machine that pumps water and nutrients from the roots up through the trunk and into every single branch. Every branch gets the same fuel, so here's the secret. It doesn't matter what kind of branch is sitting on top of that fuel system. You can cut off the original branches and replace them with branches from completely different mango varieties, and that tree will feed and grow those new branches, just like they were always part of the family. The tree doesn't know the difference. It just keeps pumping. This technique is called grafting, and specifically for this situation, it's called top working or multi-grafting. You're essentially hijacking the tree's energy and redirecting it into whatever varieties you want. The roots stay the same. The trunk stays the same. But the fruit becomes whatever you choose. Let's go through this step by step so you can actually do this at home. The first thing you need to do is choose the right tree to work with. Not every mango tree is equally good for this process. The best candidate is a healthy, established tree that's been in the ground for at least 2 to 3 years. You want a tree with a strong root system because that root system is the engine that's going to power your new grafts. If the tree is young, weak, or hasn't been watered and fertilized properly, the grafts will struggle to take. Look for a tree that puts out new growth regularly, has dark green leaves, and doesn't have any signs of disease or pest damage on the trunk. A healthy tree grafts well. A stressed tree does not. If your tree is in rough shape, spend 60 to 90 days feeding it, watering it consistently, and making sure it's free of pests before you ever pick up a cutting tool. Think of it like prepping an engine before you upgrade it. Next, you need to decide how many varieties you want and which ones make sense for your situation. This is where most beginners make their first mistake. They just pick whatever sounds cool. But you want to be strategic here. Think about ripening times. If you choose 2 early season varieties and 1 late season variety, you'll be harvesting mangoes at different points throughout the summer and into the fall. That spreads out your harvest window dramatically. Some great combos for American growers include a Kent or Keat as your late season workhorse, an Alfonso or Kerry for that rich, buttery, fiberless eating experience, and something like a Nam Doc Mai or Honey Mango for a tropical, sweet, low-maintenance option. You don't have to use these exact varieties. The point is to mix early, mid, and late season producers, so you're never drowning in fruit and never going without. Now comes the sourcing part, and this step matters more than people realize. You need scion wood. That's just the fancy name for the cuttings you'll take from the variety you want to graft. The best scion wood comes from a healthy, mature branch that has recently flushed, meaning it put out new growth. That new growth hardened off and is now firm, but not old. You're looking for a pencil-thick stem with at least 2 or 3 nodes on it. Nodes are the little bumps where leaves attach or where buds form. You do not want wood that's actively growing soft, light-colored new tips. You want wood that recently finished growing and has toughened up. If you have a friend with a great mango tree, ask for cuttings. If you have a local nursery that carries rare varieties, see if they'll sell scion wood. You can also find it through local tropical fruit societies, farmers markets, or online scion exchanges in the mango community. Wrap your scion wood in a damp paper towel, put it in a plastic bag, and keep it in a cool spot, not frozen, if you can't graft it the same day. Timing is everything with this process. In most of the United States, the best time to graft mango trees is in the late spring or early summer, when temperatures are consistently warm and the tree is actively pushing new growth. This is when the tree's cambium layer, the thin green ring just under the bark, is most active, and that activity is what makes grafts bond. Cold weather slows everything down. Extreme heat dries things out too fast. Aim for daytime temperatures between 75 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and try to graft on a day that isn't too windy and isn't going to rain heavily for at least a few days after. Here's how you actually do the graft, and there are a few methods that work well for home growers. The most beginner-friendly approach is called a cleft graft, and that's what we'll walk through here. Start by selecting the branch on your existing tree that you want to replace. You're going to cut this branch off, but leave a stub, about 4 to 6 inches of the original branch sticking up from the main limb. Use a sharp, clean saw or pruners to make a straight, flat cut across the top of that stub. Now take a sharp grafting knife and clean it with rubbing alcohol first, every single time, and split the center of that stub straight down, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches deep. You now have a notch in the top of your branch stub, open and ready to receive the new scion. Take your scion wood and cut the bottom end into a long, thin wedge shape. Imagine sharpening a pencil with a knife. You want both sides of the bottom tapered so the scion slides neatly into that split you made in the stub. The cuts need to be smooth and flat, not jagged or rough. The smoother the cut surface, the better the connection. Now slide the scion wedge into the split on the stub. Here's the most important part of this whole process. You need to align the green layer just under the bark of the scion with the green layer just under the bark of the stub. This green layer is the cambium, and when cambium touches cambium, the graft heals and fuses. If both green layers are on the outside edges, lined up on at least one side, you're in good shape. Some experienced growers insert 2 scions, one on each side of the split, to double their chances of success. That's actually a great idea for beginners. Once the scion is seated correctly, wrap the entire union, the spot where scion meets stub, tightly with grafting tape or clear plastic stretch tape. Start below the cut and spiral upward, overlapping each layer. Then come back down and tie it off. The goal is to keep everything moist, keep the surfaces pressed together, and keep air and bacteria out. Some growers like to cover the whole thing with a clear plastic bag to create a mini greenhouse effect and prevent the scion from drying out before it can bond. If you use a bag, make sure it's not so tight that it traps condensation right on the wood. You want humidity, not sitting water. Do this on as many branches as you like across the tree. If you want 5 varieties, you'll be working on 5 different sections of the tree. You can leave some of the original branches in place too. In fact, that's smart. Keep a few of the original variety branches untouched. Those leaves will keep photosynthesizing and feeding the tree while your new grafts are healing. Think of them as life support branches. You can remove them later, once your new grafts are fully established and putting out leaves of their own. Check on your grafts every few days. This is the waiting game, and it tests every gardener's patience. Within 2 to 4 weeks, you should start to see signs of life. Tiny buds swelling, maybe a little flush of color at the tips of the scion. That means the graft is taking. If the scion turns black, shrivels, and dries out completely, that one didn't make it. Don't be discouraged. Even experienced growers don't get 100% success rates. Remove the failed scion, let the stub callus over for a week, and try again with fresh wood. This is completely normal. Once you can see clear new growth pushing out from your grafted scions, real leaves unfurling, not just a swollen bud, you can slowly start removing the tape. Don't yank it off all at once. Cut through it carefully, peel it back gently, and give the union time to breathe. At this point, your new variety is officially on the tree. That branch is now part of your multi-variety tree, and it will grow, flower, and fruit as its own variety, fed entirely by your original tree's roots. Over the next several months, continue to water the tree consistently and feed it with a balanced fertilizer. As your grafted varieties grow, you can begin removing more of the original variety's branches if you want to free up more energy and space. Do this gradually. Never remove more than 1/3 of the tree's canopy at one time. Sudden big cuts cause stress, and a stressed tree is not going to produce fruit or heal grafts efficiently. Patience here pays off enormously. Now let's talk about the common mistakes, because this is where most people go wrong and end up blaming the technique instead of the execution. The number one mistake is using dull or dirty tools. This is the silent killer of grafts. A dull blade makes ragged, uneven cuts. Uneven cuts mean poor cambium contact. Poor contact means the graft fails. And a dirty blade introduces bacteria and fungal spores right into an open wound on your tree. Before every single cut, wipe your blade with isopropyl alcohol. Keep it sharp enough to shave with. This one habit alone will dramatically increase your success rate. The second big mistake is working with the wrong scion wood. People get excited, grab whatever they can find on a mango tree, and expect magic. If the wood is too young and still soft, it will rot before it can bond. If it's too old and woody, it won't fuse properly. That sweet spot of recently matured, pencil-thick, firm but not ancient wood is what you're after. When in doubt, go slightly more mature rather than too fresh and soft. Third mistake, wrapping too loosely. The tape is holding the scion in contact with the cambium. If it's loose, that contact shifts. Wind, rain, a curious bird, any small movement can break that fresh bond before it's had time to fuse. Wrap firmly. Not so tight you crush the wood, but tight enough that nothing moves. Fourth mistake, removing the tape too early. People get excited when they see a bud swell, and they immediately rip the tape off to check. Give it time. The bud swelling is the beginning of success, not the finish line. Wait until you have actual leaves, real growth, not just a hopeful bud. The tape protects the union. Leave it until you're certain. Fifth mistake, grafting at the wrong time of year. If you try this in the middle of winter when the tree is barely active, the cambium is slow, the graft doesn't bond quickly, and the exposed cuts dry out before they can fuse. Spring and early summer, warm temperatures, active growth. That's your window. Here's a bonus tip that the best multi-graft growers use, and this one changes everything. It's called staggered grafting, and here's how it works. Instead of grafting all your new varieties onto the tree at the same time, you space them out over 2 to 3 seasons. In year 1, you graft 2 or 3 varieties onto the lower, stronger scaffold branches. You let those grafts grow out fully for a full season. Now those new grafted branches are thick, healthy, and actively pushing. In year 2, you come back and take scion wood from those successfully grafted branches and use them as the rootstock for another round of grafts higher in the canopy. Or you take wood from a friend's tree for 2 more new varieties. What this does is give each new variety a full growing season to establish before more grafting stress is introduced to the tree. The tree never gets overwhelmed. Each graft gets maximum energy. Your success rate goes through the roof, and by year 3, you have a fully multi-variety tree that is thick, established, and already pushing toward its first major fruit set on the newer grafted branches. This is what separates hobbyist growers from the people whose trees genuinely produce every season. There's something else worth mentioning here that most people overlook completely. When you have multiple varieties on one tree, you're actually creating a pollination advantage. Mango trees are self-fertile, meaning one tree can pollinate itself. But cross-pollination between different varieties significantly increases fruit set. When your Kent branch flowers at the same time your Kerry branch flowers, the bees moving between them are cross-pollinating like crazy. More pollination means more fruit. So your multi-variety tree doesn't just give you different flavors, it actually gives you more fruit overall compared to a single variety tree. That's a huge bonus that almost no one talks about. One more thing worth bringing up. Rootstock matters more than most beginners realize, even if you're top working an existing tree. The original tree you're grafting onto has a flavor and fruiting profile baked into its roots. But here's the thing, the rootstock influences how vigorously the new scion grows, how disease-resistant it is, and how early it begins to bear fruit. If your existing tree has struggled with root rot in the past, or if it tends to grow very slowly, your grafted varieties will inherit those limitations to some degree. That doesn't mean you can't make it work, you absolutely can. But if you're starting fresh, choosing a rootstock that's known for vigor and disease resistance, like turpentine mango or a known polyembryonic seedling variety, gives your future multi-variety tree the strongest possible foundation. By the time you finish this process and your tree enters its first full fruiting season with multiple varieties, something really cool starts to happen. The tree becomes a living calendar. You walk out in May, and there are Alfonsos ready to pick. You come back in July and the Kent branches are loaded. By September, your Keat branches, which always ripen late, are hanging heavy with those big, beautiful green-skinned fruits that most people don't even know are ripe. Your neighbors are buying single variety trees from the nursery and getting 3 weeks of one flavor while you're out there harvesting different mangoes from June through October. And that's when this whole process really clicks. It wasn't about being clever or doing something complicated. It was about understanding one simple thing: the roots do the work, and you get to choose what the tree produces. So here's what you do next. Start by assessing the mango tree you already have. Is it healthy? Is it at least 2 or 3 years old? If yes, you're already halfway there. If it needs some TLC, spend the next 60 days feeding it and getting it strong. Then start sourcing your scion wood. Connect with local tropical fruit growers. Check out mango societies in your area. Visit a specialty nursery. Decide on your variety combination based on ripening times so you can spread your harvest over the whole season. Get your tools clean and sharp. And then, when late spring rolls around and that tree is pushing new growth, you get to work. This is one of those skills that sounds complicated, but once you do it once you actually get your hands on that wood, make those cuts, wrap that tape, and 3 weeks later watch a tiny bud push out from a graft you made yourself, you will never look at a mango tree the same way again. It becomes a platform, a canvas, something you can shape and build on year after year. If this video helped you, drop a comment below and tell me which varieties you're planning to graft onto your tree. I read every single one. And if you know someone with a mango tree who's been wanting to try something like this, share this video with them. It might be exactly what they've been looking for. Hit that like button if you found this useful, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got more mango content on the way, including how to manage a multi-graft tree long-term, and how to troubleshoot grafts that don't take the first time. You don't want to miss it.